Hi, Alaqua. Thank you so much for joining us on Phase Zero. I'm Jenna, and this is Erin. We both
Course.
we both loved the show so much, and we're excited to ask you some fun questions about your MCU journey so far.
I'm ready for it.
Awesome.
Ready for
Well,
you
so
guys.
congrats on the success of season one. What has it been like to experience that so far? I saw you found out about the streaming numbers through a text from Kevin Feige, and I just love that.
I remember when I read the text, I got a text from an unknown number. I didn't have his number. Obviously, he is Kevin Feige. He is the head of Marvel, of course. And so it said, maybe, my phone suggested maybe it's Kevin Feige. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy that he texted me. This means so much to me, honestly, because he is such the head honcho. He's the big boss of Marvel. So he texted me saying, congratulations on, for your success on Hulu and Disney Plus for the most views. And it was really nice to get that text from him, the biggest boss guy in Marvel.
I hear other congratulations are in order. I hear you're a new mom. So congratulations on that. I remember that
Oh,
you
thank
got
you so much.
no problem. I think that the little person is too young for Echo, but how was it balancing the responsibility of both being a superhero and being responsible for a little human being?
Oh my gosh, yes. I feel very fortunate. I wasn't pregnant until after Echo wrapped. About 6 months later, I got pregnant. So while I was pregnant, I didn't really do anything. I just kind of sat at home and chilled in my house. So I was very lucky. It was very fortunate for me. But then, once I had given birth, I had a lot of press and Zoom calls, and I traveled all over, and I traveled with a newborn. And I have a great mother his grandmother, who was able to help me in all those travels and take care of him. Or I have my fiance that comes with me. Like, for example, my fiance right now is here with me. He's babysitting my son in the next room. So I have a great support team and system. But I think it's been easy so far.
That's so awesome. So, Echo, the show, has such a unique approach to the Marvel comics. As a huge comic fan, how much of Echo's story have you read at this point? Have you explored any of the newer stuff where she has the Phoenix Force?
I have read some of it, yes. I do think it's very, very cool. I hope that I'm going to be able to cross paths with Daredevil at some point, because I know that he and she are in the comics. So I think that'd be so cool. I'd love to be able to bring that to life. So that is my hope.
Did you have a role in developing Echo's name sign during the production of the show?
Yes, I did. I had help with a ASL consultant. His name was Douglas Ridloff. He is an expert, of course, in ASL, and he gives great name signs. He's a great person. And so we were thinking about what kind of approach or name sign we wanted to use for Echo. And this is what we chose. It's a hand on the cheek that wiggles, because Maya's dad, right before he died, she saw the whole thing, and her dad reached out for her face, and he said, "Fly away, my little bird." And so once he died, he takes his hand off of Echo's face. And so that's where the sign comes from her hand, from her father's hand leaving her face. So I think it's so special and unique.
That is so beautiful. So you mentioned Daredevil. Let's jump back to the fight scene in episode one. That was so incredible to watch. What was it like being a part of that and kind of combining those two fighting styles, especially when you're in a single take and in such close quarters?
It was probably the longest choreography out of, well, I don't know. I only probably acted in two roles so far, but it was probably the longest choreography that I've ever done, which was very hard, to be honest, because, but we had such a great stunt team that helped with the choreography and the fighting and the moves. And I saw Charlie Cox, of course. That was so cool to fight with him and alongside him. He's such a nice guy. We practiced a little bit before we started rolling and shooting. And when we shot, I would watch it on the screen afterward, and I thought it looked really good. So yeah, it was tough, but we made it through, and it was such a cool experience.
Well, it looked awesome. You guys did such a great job. Another part of the show that I really love is Maya and Biscuit's dynamic. I feel like it's so much fun and really subverts the expectations of the sidekick or the guy in the chair. What was it like to portray that and add some kind of lighthearted moments to the show?
I remember I was telling, Cody Lightning is the actor who plays Biscuits. And I told him one day that I think everyone's favorite character is going to be you. You're full of heart. You're so funny. You're like my sidekick, and you're in the show. And I think that he kind of helps me open up a little bit too. He's a family member that I grew up with, and Maya, he makes Maya smile a little bit. She is very stoic all the time, but he gets her to smile once in a while. So Biscuit is always there to help her, and he's risking everything for her as well. So it's very fun to work with him.
Keeping things on the sort of bonds in Echo, Bonnie's relationship with Maya is one of her closest bonds. And what was it like to craft that dynamic with Devry? Where do you think that relationship is at the end of season 1?
Devry, oh my gosh, she's so amazing. She, of course, plays Bonnie, and she is so amazing. She learned ASL so quickly, and she still wanted to learn ASL. Even though we were done rapping and we were done with Echo, she still learned on her own. I remember that we took a class. It was with her acting coach, and we were talking about how we can develop our character and the relationship between each characters, and we decided to do a double Dutch, double this, double that kind of hand motion gesture thing. And so we did it right before our scenes that we had together to make that connection even stronger. And it made me feel like we had those real connections as Maya and Bonnie. And plus we were talking on text to each other. We would send videos to each other in ASL, and she's very easy to get along with. So I felt like we already had such a strong connection before even acting. And she kind of reminds me of my cousin growing up as well. My cousin, we are very close. We felt like sisters. And that reminds me of that kind of relationship and the dynamic with me and Devry. So I'm very honored to work alongside of her.
That is so lovely. So I was so surprised and so moved by Echo's powers in the show, especially considering how wildly different they are from the comics. How did it feel to kind of help expand the mythos of her character in such a profound way?
I feel such a connection with my ancestors in that moment and the indigenous cultures that I'm representing, and I am as well. She has such a strong connection with her ancestors. And I think that Maya, how she connects with her ancestors and how they help her get out of any dangerous situations, that shows the indigenous side of her, and it's authentic, and how we use and love our ancestors. And I really think that's great to show that. It is very different, but there's other people, other superheroes shoot lasers or webs or something like that. But, this is such a unique power, and she uses her power from her ancestors to do these challenging and tough things. And it's really nice to see that on screen.
Speaking of her ancestors, can you talk with us a little bit about what it was like seeing the costume that you get at the end for the first time?
Oh my gosh. I loved it. I will never forget those costumes and the process of trying it on, because I remember trying it on. I probably only had maybe like 10 or 9 fittings the entire time for that costume, because that's how special and unique it was. It was actually beaded by a Choctaw artist as well. And they had designs on it, like a sun and diamond shapes that were related to Choctaw culture. It's so beautiful. Everything has a meaning. The close-up details are so amazing. And it's like, I gasp every time I look at it and I put it on it. I say, this gets better each time I wear it. It was my absolute top favorite costume ever. I love it so much.
I have to ask about Maya's relationship with Fisk. You characterized it as a sort of dysfunctional parent-child relationship. How do you think they ended up at the end? How it was working with Vincent?
Oh, yes. Hell yes. It's an honor to be able to work with one of the biggest, well-known actors in Hollywood. Yes, I loved working with him. There was some challenges and scenes with him. Of course, his character does not sign with Maya, and Maya does not know when he's going to finish his line or his speaking, whatever he's saying. So the interpreting team and I came up with an idea to have a vibration device that I would put underneath my shirt. And when Vincent was done with his line, the interpreter would hit the remote and it would notify me that it was my turn. But it does get a little distracting at times because I have to be so focused on these very serious scenes, and it would distract me when I felt the vibration. But I think we made it through, and that was, I think, the most challenging part. But it was such an honor to work with him, and our relationship was so great.
Well, it looked seamless on the show. It looked so perfect. Kind of just talking about season 1 writ large, do you have a scene from season 1 that is your favorite that you're especially proud of?
I do have a lot of favorite scenes. It's so hard. Probably the train heist scene. I really enjoyed working on that one because we did a lot of stunts that day. And I think it's so much fun to do the stunts.
That's awesome. So what would you say surprised you the most about the experience of filming the entire season?
I know I usually don't have a lot of patience myself as a person. So, but when I started Echo, well, for being on Hawkeye, I had a small supporting role, and then I became number one on a call sheet for Echo. So I was at work every single day on set, 10 to 12 hours every day. So I definitely learned a lot of patience. That was surprising. And then after, I became a mother, I even got more patience. But I learned to be a little bit more chill and patient now. So I think that's the most surprising thing I learned about myself.
So there's a lot of actors, young actors, that get their first opportunity to be in a show with Echo, and a lot of actors who might have been the same experience for you. Would you have any words of encouragement or advice for any of those young actors out there?
I remember when I was filming and I would look at the screen and I would criticize myself all the time. I'd be like, oh, I don't like that. But I have to remember, no, you're more talented than you think you are. And that's what I want to tell them. Don't criticize yourself so often. You're doing amazing. It looks good. Don't worry about those little things. It's going to look great.
That's such a great answer. So fans are definitely very eager to see Maya again. And there are a lot of theories about where that could happen, especially with Daredevil currently filming. I know you cannot tell us anything, but what would you be most excited to explore with Maya if and when we do see her next?
You're right. I can't say much, of course, but I'm hoping to be able to cross paths with other MCU superheroes along the way. The comic book, I see Daredevil and Maya, of course, they're together in the comic book. So hopefully we'll be able to bring that to life, but we'll see what happens.
Are there any other Marvel characters you can name that you really, really would want to cross over with?
Oh, that's an easy answer. I want to work with the Hulk, especially as an actor, Mark Ruffalo. Oh my gosh, he's from Wisconsin and he's a huge advocate for the indigenous people. And, the pipeline protests that were happening, he was there and he was always advocating for the indigenous people. And I would love to work with him. I think we would have long conversations about the indigenous issues that we're experiencing nowadays, but I think I'd like to work with the Hulk. I think that's it.
Interesting. The last time we talked, you mentioned SpiderMan. What would you like to experience?
Oh, well, honestly, oh my gosh, I wouldn't mind working with both any MCU character. Oh my gosh, I would like to cross paths with so many of them.
So would we.
So what part of kind of Maya's dynamic with Spider-Man would you want to explore? How do you think they would react to each other if they met?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I would love to be able to team up with him. I don't know, go against the bad guys. Oh, his villains in his movie. I could maybe use a knife for my prosthetic leg while he uses spider powers to shoot webs. I don't know, something like that.
That would be so much fun to see. Let's start campaigning for it now. Well, Alaqua, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. And again, congrats on season 1.
Oh my gosh. No, thank you guys so much for having me.
You did such an incredible job and we are fans of yours for life. So.
Oh gosh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.